Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of Two Jersey Kids, where me, one of your hosts, Adam Buckingham, sits along with my best friend from Jersey of 10 years, Gary Seisel. How you doing today, Gary?
What's happening, guys? I'm doing well on this September 1st.
Oh, it's September 1st. Labor Day weekend is coming up. I actually have a 4-day weekend, which I'm pretty ecstatic about. What are you up to?
Well, I have a long weekend myself. Unfortunately, the weather doesn't seem like it's going to be cooperating with us this time around. But yeah, I'm looking around. I'm looking forward to kind of sitting around, having some beers. Hopefully, the PSN will be up by the time this weekend is in full swing, and I'll be able to enjoy myself.
Yeah. Speaking of awkward pauses, this is where an awkward pause is, because apparently people have been telling me that they were shocked that there was no awkwardness in the podcast, so I'm just going to let it out right now. Speaking of people listening, I want you to stop right now, stop all you're doing right now, and go to iTunes and give us 5 stars. We need those 5 stars because we need to get up in those standings. We want people to watch it and listen. Well, can't really watch because it's a podcast, but listen to it. Maybe eventually watch one day. That's our ultimate goal in the future. But yeah, please go do that. Then go over to Twitter. Follow us at Two Jersey Kids. And well, you can follow Gary at Scavenger18, real Scavenger18, and me at Buckshootback. But mostly just follow the podcast. I would like that very much. So, what have you been playing this week, Gary?
Well, I have been playing the Battlefield 1 open beta. That's been an interesting experience. I'll get to that later on in the show, obviously. But as always, it's been a Destiny type of week. Just a normal thing, Crucible combat, that sort of thing. Obviously, right now I can't play that either because of the PSN network being down. So I'm in quite an awkward situation right now in terms of what games to play. So
yeah, because you're an online guy. You love the online shooters. What are you doing? This must be killer for you.
Well, this is what beer was invented for. So yeah, right now I'm having a Stone Ruination 2.0. It's a delicious IPA.
Are you having a new one each time we do this podcast? I'm excited to see when you run out.
That is my goal. It may take me years, may take me months. Who knows? But yeah.
Maybe we'll get to episode 10 when you finally run out. Who knows?
Episode 10. Jesus.
Who knows? Should we get to the topics right now, or do you want to be a nice friend and ask me what I've been doing this week?
Go right ahead.
You still didn't ask me, Gary.
All right. What have you been doing?
Oh, thanks for asking. Gee, I'm so happy you asked. I've been playing, I don't know if you saw it, but I've been playing Hyper Light Drifter. I think that's the way on the PS4. I grabbed it because it looked interesting. I like the art style, 16-bit pixel art. It's a pretty... Story-wise, there's not much story. There's an explosion that happens, and then things happen from there. I just really like it, the art style and the gameplay aspect where you have to go to different 4 corners of the world and basically capture things to then defeat this really hard boss where I actually recently fought like the first boss. Took me like 15 tries. I was going insane, yelling constantly. You know how games are, especially this one where the gameplay just feels so smooth, and most of the time when you die, it's kind of on your end, so
unforgiving.
Yeah, so I it just felt, I got mad at myself because I don't like dying. Who likes dying, really? That's where you're supposed to say something, Gary.
Oh, all right. Well, I say we dive into the topics here. We got quite a few lined up for us.
Well, for all those people that didn't think we would have awkward pauses in the first episode, we have plenty today, and we're just going to call them out because who cares, really? All right, first one is Nintendo's messaging about the NX. This comes over at GameSpot by, I suck at names, Timur Hassan? Sure. So Reggie over at Nintendo America has discussed some of the mistakes the company has made in launching the Wii U. You can say that again. There are issues. In her interview with Alice Daly, he said the lessons Nintendo learned will be implemented when launching the NX. I would really hope so. He goes on to say, quote, every time we launch a new platform, every time we launch a critical new game, we always learn. We always do our breakdown of what worked and what didn't. And certainly, we've done that with the Wii U. Key areas, Reggie, highlighted was messaging, which he believes will help the audience understand what makes NX unique. One of the things that we have to do better when we launch the NX, we have to do a better job communicating the positioning for the product. We have to do a better job helping people to understand its uniqueness and what that means for the game playing experience. There's more that he goes into, but I feel like that's a big thing with what happened with the Wii U. There was a lot of confusing messaging. The fact that they call it a Wii U, being younger, I was under the assumption, maybe this was an attachment to the Wii because they just showed off the gamepad. I was like, this is cool. You can then play it while you're sitting on the couch and don't need the TV. But no, it was a whole new console. That sort of was horrible messaging, and you could see that in the sales nowadays that, it's not doing too well.
Yeah, actually to interject there, Nintendo has sort of fallen or taken the back seat to, I feel like, a lot of major, gaming companies now, Xbox, PS4, or Microsoft and Sony for that matter. And I feel like, I'm glad they're learning from their mistakes because there's plenty of them to go around. And even with their new console coming out, I kind of wonder how people are going to respond to it.
Are you excited in getting the NX, Gary? Have you heard about it? Have you done research on it?
Personally, no. Most of the reason being that I don't really have a need for a new console at the moment. But based on their past mistakes and basically their irrelevance, I feel like it's kind of just, I don't really consider them an option anymore, especially for like a hardcore gamer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mostly enjoy specifically the Nintendo games. If they just became a developer, I feel like they would make buku's amount of money with just selling their Marios, Yoshi's, Zelda, all that jazz on the new consoles.
Now, see, I was going to ask about that as well. So, they have these classic titles, like Mario and whatever else. But, what are they going to do now, going forward, that's worthwhile? Like, what games are they going to create? New games, new franchises that are actually going to be something meaningful. I think they have some work to do in that department.
Because they've burned it feels like they've burned most of their bridges with third-party developers, and now all they have to rely on are their first-party titles that everyone knows, but obviously it didn't sell well with the Wii U. So hopefully now with the NX being a basically hybrid between a just standalone console and a handheld, maybe they can bring in their play on nostalgia which they've been pretty big on with their virtual console, and use all the plethora library that they have at their disposal, and maybe get people to buy the games again. Because apparently, once you buy a game on the virtual console, if you get another console, it doesn't carry over because their online structure is still pretty poor. So I've heard stories of people buying like the same Mario World like 3 or 4 times for different consoles. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. that's all I gotta say about that. Personally.
Nice pregnant pause for people who are a fan of, because a fan of P.S. I Love You. Kind of funny. They always do. Just when they're in the middle of podcasts, these guys just randomly just stop talking. So they try to do the thing where, oh man, something happened with my phone. Something must have messed up, so that's why it stopped. So they just do long pauses for no apparent reason.
I call it gathering myself for the next section here, next topic coming up.
I could try to delete that section in the middle, but I feel like that's too much work, and I have no idea how to do it. And I feel like I'll just end up just deleting the whole thing, because that happened to me before when I was doing my own like single standalone podcast, which is really difficult, doing just one person talking for like 30 minutes. And I was trying to edit together different sections, different slices of what I was recording, and I accidentally just like highlighted the wrong thing, and everything was gone. I said, F this shit, I'm out of here, I'm done. That's why I just keep running, and thankfully I have a partner, one of my best friends, to stick with me throughout this whole ordeal.
Yes, sir.
Well, speaking of Nintendo, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, that Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct for their 3DS handheld console, which surprisingly still is doing well for a handheld. they mentioned that Mario Maker is coming to 3DS. Have you ever heard of Mario Maker, G?
I am not entirely familiar with the title.
You know? They released it on Wii U maybe a year ago. It's essentially where people can use the gamepad and create their own Mario levels from different... so you have Mario 1, Mario 3, Mario World, different and the new ones. Different aesthetics, different enemies to fight, and people make... Everyone out there, you should check some of the insane levels people do and create, because to create a level, you have to be able to beat it. So it's insane, the levels that are created and how great these people have to be to do this perfect timing. You should check out some YouTube videos of some famous YouTubers like Game Grumps or Markiplier trying to do that, and they get pretty angry, to say the least. Does that not fancy you? The fact that Mario Maker is coming to the 3DS, you can play Mario now on the go.
Personally,
No?
it does not interest me in the slightest. Like I said, Nintendo is completely irrelevant to me.
I love the dichotomy between me and you. I like the simple, well, not simple, but I like the more old school platformers, and I don't mind a first person shooter, which you love. But I love the indie games. I like the different ideas.
Don't get me
art.
wrong. I'm not shooting down people's ideas
No,
necessarily.
you hate them. You want to destroy them and
course.
everything they stand for. Call of Duty rules and Battlefield as well.
Yeah, I'm organizing a mob to lead to their studios as we speak.
Oh God! On to the next topic. Written over at IGN. By, where's the name of the... Oh, Alex Osborne, over at IGN, again, that place. The title is PS4 Neo, Xbox Scorpio, absolutely great for industry, says EA executive, because EA is all about making that money.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why it's great for the industry. It's they're going to go out there and be like, oh yeah, these new consoles are fantastic, they're perfect for the industry, but at the same time, you need to consider the fact that they're making... ridiculous amounts of money off these things.
I think they already priced their premium pass or season pass for Battlefield 1 already before some of the DLC has been created, or
No surprise.
I think it's $50 or
See,
something already.
That's the thing. It's they know people are going to buy. I mean, the hype around Battlefield 1 right now is serious, so they know that people are going to just be willing to spend that money right up front to get whatever the additional content is in the future.
You guys are all servants to the EA monster. That's what Gary is saying.
Conformists.
Right? All right, so Electronic Arts is very excited about Sony and Microsoft's forthcoming console upgrades, according to the company executive Peter Moore. When asked whether or not the hardware revisions we're seeing with Xbox Scorpio and PlayStation 4 Neo are good for the industry, EA's chief competition officer responds with a definite quote-unquote, absolutely, on the latest episode of IGN Filter, which airs next Tuesday. They got to put in that plug in the article, obviously, because they got to promote.
Of course.
Moore continues saying there was a quote huge excitement at the moment they were announced, highlighting the fact that it extends console generations and may bring forth a time when we no longer have traditional hardware launches like we've seen in prior generations, which makes sense. But I'm not a big fan of buying these expensive consoles every 4 years. I don't know about you. It would make more sense, like I said previously, reiterating myself, it makes more sense to be modular and just have slight upgrades.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the whole phone type of structure where one console comes out 1 year and then a couple years down the line they have an upgraded, beefed up version of the same thing you bought 2 years prior. That's just not something it's not something I'm used to, obviously, or anybody's used to. But I don't know. I don't really understand. If I had the disposable income, I'd absolutely buy the better, whatever you want to call it, better console. But
that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
I feel like you may be burning some. I could use burning bridges already, but you may be upsetting some people who don't have the necessary income to buy another console so quickly. Compared to they expected, 10 year for this console.
Yeah.
And now they're getting shafted with, another console that's just drastically better. I have to buy this now. I feel like they're getting shortchanged.
Yeah,
You know?
corporate greed.
And the fact that you having the console last so long, it brings out creativity from the developers getting the best out of the whole console. Like, compare Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 3 on the same console. It's insane.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog had to do different ways to get the most out of that PS3, and you won't see that now if we keep iterating with consoles. You won't see the very best that console can offer if we just keep, upgrading every 3-4 years.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I'm glad you agree, Gary.
Very meaningful interjection there by myself.
That was another thing that I had criticism on, which makes sense. It's difficult, which obviously, if you guys don't know, we talk over Skype when we're recording this, but sometimes I feel like you talk and I don't hear it right away, so then I interject something and then we're talking over top each other. I gotta make sure I don't do that. Don't want to upset anybody out there, All right, on to the next one. So this is by Polygon, Allegra Frank, titled "Russian Free-to-Play Halo Online Canceled." Did you even hear of this the first time it was released? Halo Online.
I remember in passing hearing about Halo Online, but wasn't something that I was particularly going to get involved in.
I was pretty excited because it was based on, I think, Halo 3 mechanics online. What didn't excite me is the fact that it was only people in Russia could play it. I don't know why that was a thing. I feel like it would have done better in the U.S. I don't know if they just didn't want to, crush their, sales of the new Halo coming out. I forget when it probably released around, I want to say Halo 4, but I could be wrong. But
yeah.
The article say a free-to-play Windows PC version of Halo exclusively for the Russian market will no longer receive a full release, according to a post on social media platform VK. That's apparently a thing. Halo Online was originally scheduled to launch sometime this year, but several delays from the series publisher Microsoft led to its cancellation outright, a member of the development team wrote. Quote, "Over the past 6 months, our colleagues from Microsoft failed to make decisions on the future of the project," Roy Saffer, known as Foggy Man, on Halo Online VK page. Quote, "Now we only have one thing. The current form of the game will not be released." That's pretty upsetting.
That's a little straight. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they would limit themselves to one country like Russia instead of trying to branch out into other areas, Europe, obviously the United States. That is a little strange, though. Mm-hmm.
Keep filling when I try to open up this next one. Phil, Gary, Phil!
I mean, obviously you were saying that it might... Obviously you were saying it might interfere with the sales of, Halo 4, but... I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're diverting your resources when you could be focusing on Halo 4 as the title instead of just like suddenly, there's Halo Online, now there's Halo 4. And I don't understand why they would create two separate titles like that, but that's just me.
Okay. Thanks for filling.
No problem, sir.
Now, before we get to the next topic, I wanted to interject with a question for you, Gary, to keep you on your toes, try to add some flavor into this podcast, and ask you a question. What game throughout your life was the most shocking that you enjoyed the most? You weren't expecting to like it so much, and you ended up liking it.
Easily BioShock. That was the first.
Good answer.
I remember. So my favorite game I ever played, as you know, is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, and
what?
Yeah, shocking. I was looking for another game that could sort of give me that sense of exploration or wonder, so to speak. So I remember reading about BioShock online, and I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds pretty cool. So I went and bought it, and
which is huge because you never went out and just bought something back in the day. It took a lot of convincing for you to finally get something.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I went out and bought the game, and I remember I didn't realize it was going to be sort of like a creepy horror type game, and I was, needless to say, freaked out from the very beginning. But yeah, it was...
How old were you at the time?
I was, I guess, 14, 08, when the first one came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really freaked the hell out, and the game turned out to be great. The shooting was a little awkward at times. There were some bugs because they had to port the game over from Xbox, and As anyone knows that had a PS3, that is a complete disaster.
Skyrim.
Yes. But yeah, it was a damn good game, and I very much appreciate it. I ended up buying BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite afterwards.
I don't think anything compares to the original BioShock. I know I never played the second one. I know they tried to add in multiplayer unnecessarily to it, and then BioShock Infinite was a lot more of just a normal generic shooter, thinking back on it. I like the world in BioShock Infinite and BioShock. I remember you kept telling me, it's like, you need to play BioShock, you need to play BioShock, and finally I got the collection, and I played it just from my own perspective without you, because I know you showed me a few times. Great game. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like the vibe. It's creepy, though.
Yeah, you really can't beat the original BioShock, the atmosphere that game had. It's like one of a kind. You really can't, like BioShock 2. It could have. I mean, it's been a while since I really ran through that game last, but it was almost like it was like an add-on to the original game. Like it was like, all right, here's the DLC. You're going in as, you're going in later on, like 10 years in the future, and you're going to see what it's like then. And like, it seemed more like a DLC to me than in just a separate title. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea. But BioShock Infinite, that was damn good.
You're talking about the last one or the first one? You said BioShock.
Well, yeah, BioShock Infinite. Was a damn good. Was a really good standalone title, though.
Yeah. I liked how they brought in a new world to explore. It was definitely interesting.
Absolutely.
My game, because I had time to think about it, because I was planning on asking this question, so I had unfair of being able to think. Mine, one that I don't remember purchasing it. Somehow I got it. I think it was like one of the first releases for Xbox 360, which shocked me. I don't know if can you guess this?
God, no way. No? Absolutely not.
It's Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Oh, okay.
That game, I did not expect I didn't know what I was going into when I opened it. I just know the cover, the images on the back, I remember looked exciting. I remember I got a steal. Mom, if you're listening, sorry, but it was originally teen. That's when she got it for me. Back when she cared about the ratings of stuff, so I had to make sure not to get a M game because I was still young at the time. But it was teen originally and then became M later on, so I sort of snuck that game in there, so I was pretty excited. But I just remember coming in not knowing what to expect. First, just randomly, like, you're just starting off in a jail cell, and then all of a sudden, like, someone's talking to you, and it's first person, so you feel like it's there. And then once you get out of the jail cell, you go into Cyrodiil, and it's just expansive.
Beautiful.
It's just wide open. It's amazing. I've always been a fan of fantasy games. Some people aren't a fan of like that setting and magic and stuff, but I've always loved that. And just, I don't know. It was just the first time I felt like I was able to explore anywhere, do anything. Like, I remember just randomly going to like the main city, like you could see it from far away, going into the main city, and all of a sudden you could fight in an arena and become the arena champion. That was like new to me. And then all of a sudden, like, you have to stop these demon spawn coming out of these damn gates, and there's this gigantic battle that happens before then. Like, I got so pumped up as a little kid just watching like all the armies from different cities lining up to go at this big gate, and they're just all fighting. And I just remember specifically, I don't know if I was with you, but there's this one old guy that was always with the blade. Joffrey, was that?
Joffrey, that's
that was the name?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I remember vividly. It's etched into my brain where anybody could die in that battle. And I went and did a charged attack at this one Daedra. He, like, somehow dodged out of the way, and Joffrey was right behind him, and I sliced him, and he went flying, and I started screaming, and I was so upset as a little kid that I just killed this old man who helped me throughout this journey. I betrayed him. Not really, but...
Not for nothing. Not for nothing. That exit from the sewers of the jail... Uh-huh. And seeing the landscape in front of you, there wasn't really a better way to showcase the next generation graphics at the time. I mean, that really just
yeah.
Yeah, and that image, like, I mean, you can see it in your head right now, that first time you stepped out of those sewers onto that landscape and just looked out in front of you and realized you could go anywhere you wanted.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was
It honestly was.
Is it just how they used, they did it the same way with Fallout 3? I know you're not a big Fallout fan because you never played them, actually.
I have.
Have you?
Actually, yeah,
you haven't.
I bought Fallout 4.
You did?
Yes, sir.
You never told me because I never see you online playing it.
Yeah, it was a short period of time.
See, the thing is, going in from Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, it just felt like more of the same. So if you didn't have experience with Fallout 3, I can understand why you would enjoy it more because it's better gameplay. But Fallout 3, they had the same experience exiting the vault and just seeing this large, just dystopian world where you can go out and do your own thing. And there's this one town, which I vividly remember. I can't remember the name of it. What the heck was the name? There was just I think it was called Nuketown, but I could be wrong. But there's a gigantic bomb that's chilling in the middle, and you can either defuse it with like your skills later on, or you can be evil and just tell it to blow up. You walk away like a bunch of yards, and all of a sudden you just hear.
I would choose the evil option.
Of course you would.
The dark side.
In games, I've never been. I don't know about people out there listening. All 54 of you. Thanks again for listening. Remember to rate us on iTunes. But I don't know. I've never been a person that's been able to be the evil person in games. I don't know if it's just me, but I've never been able to. Like in KOTOR,
It's sorry.
Yeah, go.
I was going to say. I mean, like I always loved. See, for Star Wars, it's unfair because the bad guys are always the coolest looking.
Yeah,
Darth Maul, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's like, but at the same time, I feel like, yeah, okay, in Knights of the Republic, being evil, like, yeah, you were a dick. I mean, there's no getting around it. But at the same time, it's more of like a story completionist type of thing where you want to see the other ending or see what else can happen. That's why you do it.
I've always wanted to be the person, like, I really wish there was an option to be in between more of the anti-hero, where you're still badass, but you're still good at heart. Whereas most games, it feels like it's just you're 100% one way or
black and white,
100% the other way. Because like in KOTOR, it was literally like, oh, you save somebody, you give him back his money, or you're mean and you just take his money and kick his ass. There's no in between. There's no like, oh, like manipulated him to do something else, or I don't know.
Well, it was little. One of my only real complaints about those games was the fact that
you have a complaint about KOTOR. This is insane, folks.
Believe it or not, but I mean, the way I looked at it was like the dark side characters, or that option anyway, was kind of like you were like a petty thief, like. Okay, so you wanted somebody to do something, or you wanted to treat them, you wanted to choose that dark side option, but that dark side option was like, I'm going to kick the crap out of you, or, whatever it was. It was sort of like a petty sort of thing. It wasn't really like a Darth Sidious sort of dark side where, you like manipulate like a bunch of people to do something for you. Like that's dark side, but I don't know. KOTOR was kind of like, I don't know, I think they kind of missed the mark with the dark side. But anyway.
This is insane coming from you. How many hours do you think you put into that game?
Days worth. I couldn't even tell you.
More than what Paul puts into Dota? Okay.
No way.
I love you, Paul, if you're listening, because I know he is listening. Remember, Paul, you rate us on iTunes. 5 stars would be great. And then also follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. Yeah, there you go. On to the next topic. That was a long spiel. We do that from time to time. I feel like the nerves has gotten out. We don't need to worry about living up to expectations. I doubt we ever will. So, we're moving on, folks. Next topic, over at PCGamer.com by Wes Fellon. I suck with names. I'm the worst at names. Like, if I saw your name without knowing you, I'd probably call you Sissel.
Yeah, it's a common mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah. PC piracy survey results: 35% of PC gamers pirate their games. At some point in their lives, 90% of PC gamers have pirated a game. Almost 25% of PC gamers have pirated more than 50 games in their life. That's a lot. Those are two statistics from an anonymous survey we put up on PC Gamer 2 weeks ago after publishing an investigation into piracy in 2016. We hoped for a few thousand. We got 50,742 responses from PC gamers living in dozens of countries around the world. That's a lot of data. But before we dig into the results, blah, 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 yada, 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 they're saying that some people, it wasn't like you could vote just once, you could vote multiple times, but they're saying the vast amount of statistics sort of still show how many people, pirate games.
Well, not to mention, I mean, like, does anyone buy music anymore? I mean, speaking of pirating, I mean, people almost everybody I know doesn't buy any music legally. They download it illegally offline, which, I mean, do you, but I don't know. Some of the sound quality of these songs that I've heard people download it's like you're listening to it underwater. So I don't know.
Yeah,
or
watching movies illegally online.
bootlegged.
Yeah. I feel like it's just the culture nowadays where people don't want to buy for anything. They don't realize what capitalism is.
Well, not like that, but is it worth it? I mean, it's a downgraded version of whatever you want for the most part. Not always, but
yeah. If you don't care about quality, then I feel like people will be happy about that. But I don't know. I've just always been in favor of trying to support, especially in the video game industry, supporting developers, especially the indie ones who are not big time. They need the money to create their projects. They put a lot of time and effort. You want to show your love, so you want to buy the game. I just don't get it.
Not to mention giving them money to make future improvements on their game, the current game they just released. So it's definitely not a bad idea.
I encourage you all to go look at it. It's pretty fascinating. If you love data, there are so many graphs on here. For example, 34% of the people answered were in the United States, which makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of graphs. If you're into that stuff, we're gonna move on. That's that topic. Fascinating, riveting stuff on our end. Hard-hitting journalism here. You love it. That's why, you go on and you rate us. It'll be fantastic if you do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, give me Phil, Phil. Something's going on. Phil, with my laptop.
Well, in the meantime, why don't we go into the next topic? Are video games making kids smarter?
I'm trying to pull up that topic, but the Forbes is giving me some trouble. And yeah, you may say that topic is this just a random site, like pro gamer site that's doing this survey, or but it's Forbes. Forbes is a pretty big deal. Have you heard of Forbes, Gary?
Of course.
You have?
Yes, sir.
So they must be a pretty well-known place.
Pretty reputable website, I would say so myself.
This is written by Kevin Anderton. Video games provide us with challenging environments, fun puzzles, and endless hours of entertainment. Today it seems that all too many people are spending their time exploring alien worlds, saving Princess Zelda, or catching Pokemon. All that time spent in front of the computer screen just can't be good for us, and it really can't be good for our children. ... Can it? Most parents, mine included, would probably tell you no. A survey conducted in Australia, however, would say yes! Woo! After surveying 12,004 students across 772 schools, it was discovered that students who spent significant time online playing video games scored higher in math, reading, and science, while students that spent their time on social media scored lower. You hear that, parents out there, if you're listening? Video games are better than having your kids stuck on social media trolling people. So, get them off. Now, the survey was mainly focused on internet usage among 15-year-olds and compared those numbers to recent test scores. Internet usage among Australian teens is higher than it is in the United States, 97% compared to 93%. Both countries have large number of youth spending their time online compared to Europe, 86%. The survey showed that students spend their time online playing games, engaging in social media, and other activities. Their numbers show that students that were playing games more often were scoring much higher in all three academic categories, while students that spent most of their time on social media were scoring much lower. And there's an infographic. One goes into math and test scores. So if you play a game 1 to 2 times a month, it goes up 2.5 points roughly. 1 to 2 times a week playing games goes up 9 points. Almost every day, 15 points. Every day, roughly 9 points. Using social media, however, 1 to 2 months, negative 8 points. 1 to 2 times a week, negative 14 points. Almost every day, negative 14, and every day, negative 19. So it goes down 19 points. And this is a trend all the way down.
Now, I mean, I'm not going to, there's all these studies out there that say, oh, you got to do this, you got to live your life this way, you got to live your life that way. But I actually had an interesting story about, the whole, our video games making people smarter. So I played a game, I'm sure you're familiar with that, called RuneScape back in the day.
Oh.
So I was reading, about that game, like just on the forums, periodically. And there was a guy there talking about how he wasn't from the United States, and he didn't really know English that well before coming over here. But the one thing that taught him English was RuneScape.
Oh, really?
He learned the English because of all the dialogue boxes in that game. Like, there's no sound, so you have to read everything. So in his case, he learned the English language through RuneScape. So it's a very interesting story to tell people. I don't think a lot of people think about these sorts of things when it comes to video games, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I just feel like in video games you can use your mind in so many different ways, like puzzle games, and essentially playing a game in itself is a puzzle. Like even Uncharted, you still have to puzzle and sort your way up a specific cliff. I mean, you can learn a lot when it comes to video games, and I don't think people give it enough credit for you having to utilize your mind, hand-eye coordination, and all that jazz. But I think if people realize the uses of video games and design learning more in that aspect, you probably find more engagement in younger students who would want to learn more. Which, like them learning without them realizing that they're learning. Like, for example, with your guy in RuneScape, he's not actively he's not saying, oh, I'm going out to learn English. He's like, no, I want to play this game that I enjoy. And throughout this whole process, he learned English because he had to, because he wanted to be engaged in RuneScape. Yep.
It's a very interesting look at gaming that people just don't pay any attention to, really.
Let's be real. I want to give a shout out all you young people my age. You gotta love putt-putt. You remember those games, Gary? Those learning games? Putt-putt.
Of
Good
course
stuff. That is more of just a game actively trying to teach you something. But I give it credit. I enjoyed putt-putt when I was little. Not gonna lie. I was a fan. So yeah, developers out there, look into that. Yeah, alright, on to the next thing. The PS Plus free games of the month have been released, Gary. I know you're not big into getting these games, but you might want to get this one. It's pretty good. So, what's releasing for PS4 is going to be Lords of the Fallen, Journey, and Badland.
That's right.
Now, Journey, for anybody who hasn't played it, now it's free, so you have no excuse. It's only like 2 hours. It's a very beautiful game. I think it's developed by That Game Studio. I think that's what they're called. But it's very beautiful. It tells an emotional story. It's only 2 hours. There's some tiny puzzles, but you should be able to figure it out. You're just a person walking through the desert, kind of. I don't want to spoil too much because it was emotional for me, kind of getting all the way to the end and seeing that ending. I would recommend it to all since it's free now. Go out, buy it, play it. Send me a comment on Twitter at 2JerseyKids and let me know how you think. What do you think of it? Because it received Game of the Year nominations a while back when it first was released. It touched people that much. So I suggest people going out and playing it.
Yeah, that game's been kind of staring me in the face for what feels like years. I never gave it a shot, so maybe I will now.
Yeah,
believe it or not, maybe I'll actually go out and download it.
You don't even have to download it, people. Just add it to your damn library so that you can play it later on. That's the thing. You don't have to download these games. All you have to do is hit add to library, and then you could download whenever you're like, hey, I kind of want to play that game. Let me go download it now. Instead of be like, oh, crap, I missed it because I didn't download it then. You don't have to download it, people. All right, another big one, Lords of the Fallen. I remember playing this on Xbox One when it was free a few months ago. Now it's coming to PS4. For all those Dark Soul fans, this is more of a poor man's version of Dark Souls. Not saying it's not a bad game. It's a pretty above average game. I enjoyed it. It has pretty solid gameplay. I like the world is beautiful. So I would suggest it if you're into those games. And now Badlands coming to PS4 and Vita. Have you ever played Badlands?
I have not. I am familiar with the title though.
It's normal. I think it was originally on iOS, iPhone game with the little black dudes, little black fuzzballs floating around, and it's like a puzzle. I've played it. It's really good. If you're into that kind of stuff, check it out. Check it out. Yeah, that's my skills. Deal with it. Deal with it. Now we're on to the big topic at hand, what everybody was interested in listening to, at least I think so, is the Battlefield 1 beta. Now my main man Gary here, words, they're not my strong suit. My main man Gary, the main first-person shooter guy, the expert, the best that I know, played this. What'd you think of it, G?
It was a mixed experience, to say the least. Originally, obviously, they had a lot of internet connection issues. People were claiming it's DDoS, whatever, doesn't matter. You couldn't play the game. Okay, that's what counts there. So that was frustrating in the beginning. Eventually, though, I was able to actually connect as the night went on. And I actually had a great time. I thought the beta was really solid. I thought the gunplay was solid. It was smooth. The sounds of the game are amazing. The soundtrack's awesome. The guns sound like, if you have a decent headset, it sounds like you're firing an actual weapon. The explosions obviously are great. The one thing I did discover, I've been playing Destiny now for going on 3 years. I had to almost relearn how to play Battlefield game again because I had to play smarter. I realized that I can flank people now. I can do all these things I can't do in Destiny because in Destiny you have a radar. I can't. Yeah. It's just a totally different game to play. But anyway, I played last night. I played a few matches of Rush. I played a couple matches today of Conquest before the PSN went down, and I had a great time. Rush is kind of like. I kind of prefer it more. I feel like it's a little more direct in terms of gameplay. There's more direct objectives. You either attack A and B or you defend A and B. Yeah. And I feel like the action's more consistent too. There's not people hiding off in the distance sniping you. So
yeah, I remember playing Battlefield 3 and 4. Rush was always my game just because it seemed more of a a basic game mode to go. You just attack one base, hold it. Or attack it, then you keep moving forward and forward. It's simple. I played it too. It did. Speaking of Twitter, though, somebody at Drexy with a bunch of X's, capital X's, and a Z. He basically replied to a comment saying Battlefield Battlefront, which is essentially insinuating that it's Battlefront. I just said that I got the same vibe when I watched the video that he was talking about. And he said he actually played it for 2 hours. And it's worse. So some people aren't a fan of the feeling that it's feeling more like Battlefront. It's more simplistic, which I sort of got the feeling right away, somewhat of the feeling. But continuing on, I felt it was more Battlefield than Battlefront. There was more destructible environments, even though I missed the old days where it felt like anything in any moment could explode. But maybe that was just the map, where it was only one map where it was a bunch of desert. So there wasn't much to explode. There was only a few houses. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe I'll try to play it more when I get a chance. I don't know when I forget. It may close this Sunday. But,
I feel like they might extend it, to be honest, due to the outages and everything, especially now with the PSN being down.
Yeah. I think it had a lot to do with the map. I wasn't a huge fan of it. But
yeah, it's very open.
It reminded me more of old Battlefield than Battlefront, which is a positive thing. But it felt solid. It felt like Battlefield with the bullet drops, and it felt responsive. And I feel like the one benefit I've noticed is that, like you were saying, the sound design of everything has gotten even better because I know Battlefront, the sounds were considered one of the shining things of that game, is that it just sounded so right in the Star Wars universe. So,
I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say about this, you know, the guy was talking about how it kind of looks like Battlefront. I mean, I could see that. I mean, aesthetically, it looks very similar to Battlefront. Like the game's beautiful. Battlefront was beautiful. I mean, a Battlefront. When I play that game, I'm like, why can't this game be better? It looks amazing. I mean, you know, the Battlefield looks beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It plays well. That's kind of you don't get that very often. I personally very much enjoyed the beta. I'm not an old-time Battlefield guy. I know.
yeah.
My brother-in-law is a very big Battlefield 1942 fan. I believe he played that on the PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not an old-timer kind of guy like that, but I very much enjoyed the beta. Thought it was a good game. Solid so far.
Yeah, I agree. I had a good time with it, especially because it was free. We'll see how in depth it actually is and what's the story like when it's finally released. Hopefully they don't need to add a bunch of patches, and hopefully it won't be broke. That would be great. Because I know sometimes EA has some issues with some servers, because Battlefield 4 was originally released had really difficult times, to say the least. But as I mentioned, you can hit us up on Twitter at 2JerseyKids and ask us any questions for the show. We would love having questions. Hopefully, I envision this podcast getting bigger and bigger eventually, and then we'll dedicate one show just to questions and one show to topics eventually. So they had 2 shows a week. Wouldn't everyone love that? Listening to the shenanigans of us jackasses. Am I right?
I know I would, personally. So get on it.
Yeah. Get on it. Hop on it. Alright, that just made me want to just start singing, what's that song? Pony? By Genuine.
Oh, God. Genuine. All right, Sir Adam. I have a question for you. What games are dropping this week, sir?
Oh, it's like you actually have it opened on your computer this time, G.
I go impromptu. I'm unscripted.
You're off the script. You're off the script. We got a wild card here, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I put together some of the major things that I thought would be interest to you people out there that are dropping this week. One big one is World of Warcraft Legion. You never played World of Warcraft, did you, Gary?
I never have. I'm familiar with people that do play that game religiously, though.
I used to be pretty into it. I enjoyed the expansiveness. Again, exploring a world, feeling like a gigantic community. It's one of those random, because it's been a while since an MMO has felt that, like, has been that cohesive and been together for so long with such a huge player base, where you see MMOs nowadays where it's hard to get consistently a fan base to stick with it for so long and such a large group of people. So this is essentially the 6th expansion set in World of Warcraft, following Warlords of Draenor. That's all I have that I found written up on it. I probably could have searched more, but I couldn't find anything. All right, next thing. For people that are Fallout 4 fans like me, I enjoyed it. I don't know if it lived up to expectations. It was solid. I feel like Witcher's open world sort of took a crap on Fallout 4.
Took a crap on a lot of games.
A lot of games. It shows that people really need to step up their open world, like CD Projekt Red sort of just put it to Bethesda. I just said a bunch of times in that statement. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I bought The Witcher 3. I put a lot of hours into that game. It wasn't. I know it's blasphemy to say this, but it wasn't a game that I'm necessarily crazy about. But it was beautifully designed. The world was tremendous. I mean, everything in the world looked like it was handcrafted. Somebody took the time to make that game what it was, and you can't knock that. No matter what you think of the game, you can't knock their commitment to the game and their commitment to their customers. That's why
I'm excited for their sci-fi game, Cyberpunk, because it'd be set in a different setting, genre, a genre that I'm also interested in including fantasy. But Witcher 3, I enjoyed it. It was sort of killer to my OCD-ness because there were so many things to do, and I just felt for some reason I couldn't be Geralt. Like, I just didn't feel a connection because I haven't played with him, so I didn't understand his connections with these other characters. I just had a hard time getting into it, so I'm excited for when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out. So hopefully it'll get onto it early this time, so now I understand who this character is, and if it's going to be someone I create or just a character in general, then he's going to be what I picture this character as, versus somebody that I'm just hopping into randomly at a random time, saying random things in an interview that happens to say you set what happened in past games. Because I don't know if you remember, it was like early on in Witcher 3 where you had to go meet, I don't know, some lord, and then somebody was coming to you writing stuff down of what happened to you in your past. I literally just guessed what happened.
It was a little
things.
It was a little overwhelming. Like my brother-in-law played the other games, so I got filled in a little bit better on what was going on in the first couple games. But even then, like I'm a person that has to play through a series. I can't jump in. Like some people can do that. Some people can, like Mass Effect. They're like, all right, I didn't play Mass Effect 1 or 2, but I'm going to buy Mass Effect 3 because it looks cool. And it's like, well, that's cool, but I personally can't do that. You don't feel a
connection,
Yeah, I feel like I have to have a connection to my character. Plus the fact that I couldn't... I know, I mean, I sound like a schmuck maybe a little bit, but like I couldn't customize my character. I couldn't feel like it was my character. I felt like I was playing somebody else's story, and that, I don't know, that just wasn't my sort of thing.
I can understand that. It's also goes, like you were saying, and jumping randomly in. People that would jump, if anybody out there, I don't recommend this, if you jump right into Uncharted 4, you're not going to get the most out of it.
Yeah,
because you're not going to understand the characters and what they've gone through, and you're not going to appreciate the ending nearly as much and how they wrapped it up, and you're just so happy.
Well, not only that, but they have the collector's edition for that game. What? Like there's no reason not to play through the first three. I mean, I bought the collector's edition, and I have played the 3 other games on the PS3. So, again, get on that.
Eventually, when we get bigger with this podcast, we're going to start our own video channel where we'll be like a version. We'll be the better. Nah, I don't want to say a better version of Game Grumps. We'll be our own person, kind of like Game Grumps, where we just play games and talk about it.
Damn straight.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick, actually. So that means you all have to give us 5 stars on iTunes. That'd be great.
Shameless advertising.
Am I beating it into your heads? Yes. All right, back to Fallout 4. The Nuka World DLC has just been released. Nuka World DLC is the 6th expansion for Fallout 4, taking place largely within confines of Nuka World Amusement Park and surrounding the area. Nuka World positions the player at the center of a 3-gang war. It sounds interesting. I remember looking up at on IGN videos of it, reviews. It seems just like an expansion, more story. I was pretty upset from what it sounded like. It wasn't, the gangs didn't vary too much. You apparently go around the amusement park and you set whatever you capture, you set which gang you want to run where, and then it like culminates. But it's DLC, so it's probably better than most DLC out there. That's my opinion. I don't know. Did you ever finish Fallout 4, G?
I completed it, but it wasn't something that I felt the need to pick up the controller again once I completed it. Like, I explored most of the world, but it just wasn't. Once I was done it the first time, it sucks because I wanted to keep playing. But once I was.
They took the wrong turn with that settlement stuff. I wasn't a fan.
Oh yeah, I know.
I really wasn't a fan of that building a settlement. It didn't.
It was annoying.
Like nothing fit properly. The walls never lined up on the ground, which seems like the most simple. Well, not simple thing to program, but it's like a simple thing that you need. You need the thing to look proper. You can't just have it sticking out of the ground just because it connects with the other thing.
If they were going to go for like a rugged look to like your settlements, that's fine. But don't make it like so I'm just putting walls together. And it was I don't know. They could have done better. They could have made it either you could like recreate those places again, like making them look nice or make them look rugged, but make them look cool. I don't know. They missed the mark, I think, on that part.
Yeah, do better.
The game's good.
Do better, Bethesda. Do better. Actually, they've been doing pretty well with all their other games like Doom and Wolfenstein.
Oh yeah.
All right, next one, which I'm pretty excited about. I want to play it. I really had an idea of just playing, either me or you playing this, and somehow getting us commentating on it eventually in the future. Just because I've never actually played this game, Resident Evil 4, which I hear great things about. I never got onto it, probably because at the time I wasn't a fan of horror games as much, survival horror. But I heard really great things. This revolutionary masterpiece represents a turning point for the series as it brought the gameplay to a third-person, over-the-shoulder perspective for the first time, featuring a thrilling storyline taking place after the destruction of Umbrella Corporation. Resident Evil 4 not only changed the course of Resident Evil, but influenced countless other titles as well, along with them going a little too far in the action genre with Resident Evil 5 and 6 becoming more just straight action games instead of survival horror, which is what made Resident Evil 4 great, according to most people that I listen to.
Yeah, I never actually played the big Resident Evil titles, so it's a possibility. I've never been a huge fan of the horror genre. Kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. That's why I feel like it would be great if we just had both me and you scared like crazy trying to play these games.
I played a game. I think it was called Outlast. I think that's what it was called. It was a free to play PS4, and I was like, I wanted to play the game, but then I would start playing, and I was just like, I'm too scared right now to walk down this hallway, so I'll save, and then later on I'll walk down the hallway. Nothing ever got done.
Yeah. Horror games are never my thing, especially in a dark room just with like headsets on. I would never be. Nope.
Oh, yeah.
It's not my thing. That's why it would be perfect for a video series down the road, us scaring ourselves. I'm sure
Absolutely.
all those people out there would love it. For all you anime fans, the next one that's getting released is Attack on Titan, which is a huge anime that people really enjoy. I haven't got a chance to watch it. It's apparently on Netflix. I do want to watch it because I do enjoy anime from now and again. I remember watching Sword Art Online. It's pretty solid storytelling in these animes, which I don't feel like they get enough credit in the U.S. In Japan, they're all over the place. Like, everybody over there loves it. But, yeah, the synopsis says, Battle is joined between the man-eating titans and Eren and his companions. Experience the illusion of being in the anime and controlling the flow of the story. Prepare for battle. That's all the write-up says. I got it from PS4 The Drop, and they just basically give you the synopsis of what the developer gives you.
Yeah, to be honest, that game is it a game, or you said it was a show?
It's a game. It's based on a show.
Okay. Yeah, it was kind of under my radar a little bit, but sounds interesting to say the least.
Gary, how do you feel about kart racers?
Kart racers?
Yeah, kart racers, like Mario Kart, Crash Team Racing.
Man, the last time I actually was in a racing game like that, I can't even remember. But
you don't like kart racers? They're the bomb.
I'm not. I keep feeling like I'm criticizing, but again, I'm not really a big fan of racing games either.
But this is for the racing games for people that don't like racing games because they're so simplistic.
They're fun, yeah. I mean, I don't have one personally, but it'd be fun to play with friends, though, I feel like a social thing.
Double Dash is where it's at.
Essentially.
Take it to the bank, everybody. Double Dash is the best Mario Kart. That's just my opinion and some other people. But yeah, this game, I remember watching Let's Plays of it. It looks like Crash Team Racing. Kind of had that vibe, which I love Crash Team Racing as well. It's called Bears Can't Drift. Did you know that bears can't drift? Put your paw to the floor and power slide between the pines as you face off against up to 3 friends in multiplayer split screen. Includes 12 track speeds across 3 worlds and 3 game modes with up to 11 computer control opponents. Bears Can't Drift is retro karting action with a modern look and feel. I don't know. If I had friends to play with, I would probably play this with them.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a game that, like I said, I feel like it's more of a social thing. I mean, I don't think it's something I would pick up the controller and try to get top in the world at.
That's one of the things is that I wish at more people willing to go play these local because local multiplayer is so fun. I can't understate it or overstate it enough. I don't know what the proper way to say that is, but it's like playing against people in the same room. It doesn't have the same. It's so much better than playing just like across like connection. It feels so much better, especially when you're racing and it's like close, or being like cooperative, like playing Halo, the Mall on like Legendary.
Old school, tremendous.
Oh,
awesome.
I love that ending. Driving the Warthogs out.
I was going to say, like, I feel like, I feel like anytime you can get in the same room with somebody, especially like if it's playing even with them on whatever it is, I feel like it's a great time. I feel like more people need to maybe investigate that sort of thing. It's like when I play, once again, getting back to Destiny, but when I play Destiny or Trials of Osiris, which is a 3v3 mode, I play with my brother-in-law and
Wait, you play Destiny?
Oh, yes, it's a new game. Yeah,
oh, it is. Oh, I should take a look at it. Hopefully I won't be underwhelmed by the story.
No, the jokes. Anyway, when I play with my brother-in-law and his brother-in-law, there have been times where we actually got together and played in the same room. 3 TVs, 3 consoles. And,
damn, old style like party.
It was kick-ass.
That reminds me of old school like high school days where I would go over sleepovers and everyone would bring their own like TV and play Halo 3 or Halo 2. No, Halo 3. It was the bomb, staying up until like 5 o'clock in the morning, get 2 hours of sleep, go home, sleep some more. It was fantastic. I miss those days. That was fun. That was fun. So, G, what's your plans for the rest of the week?
Well, hopefully, these PSN servers come back online and I can play some Battlefield. Some more Battlefield beta.
Not back up yet, or?
It is not, as far as I know. But I mean, besides that, hopefully they come back and I can play. This is actually sort of news. Destiny is getting closer now to the DLC coming out September 20th. So this is going to be the last weekend for Trials of Osiris, I guess until the 30th. So this is kind of like the last weekend to get that in. So I'll be on that and drinking heavily as this Labor Day weekend approaches.
Oh yeah, everybody out there, have a good Labor Day. Have a good 3-day break or 4-day, depending on if you get off this Friday. Lucky me, I do. But it'll be fantastic. I hope you enjoy. Drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, And most importantly, remember to follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. And also, give us 5 stars. Say what you think. Tweet us your questions for future shows. Oh, Gary, did you know we have a Facebook page?
We do.
Yeah, we do. I created the Facebook page for places to go to see what's up.
Yeah, spread the word. Spread the word.
Spread the word. The word.
Spread the love.
Word is the word.
As my man Kenny Chesney would say.
Who?
Kenny Chesney. He's a country singer. Doesn't matter.
I don't listen to country. Who listens to country?
Well, many of our listeners probably do.
Redneck.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
All right, maybe I should sign this off. Well, it was fun talking to you this week. Hopefully it wasn't awkward. Because apparently people were shocked that it wasn't awkward last time, you jankies. Thinking that we're going to be awkward. How dare you?
This is a no awkward zone. I'm here to lay it down. I'm laying down the news week after week.
Smack it down on all y'all. All the video game news. Well, thanks again for being with me, Gary. I'm always happy to talk with my best friend of 10 years. Holy crap. It's insane.
Going strong.
Going strong. Until we become huge and then have a massive falling out and then start our own ways and then come back to reform.
Oh, yeah. After like millions of dollars or anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Reformation. It'll be fantastic. I hope you all are here to watch the rise of 2 Jersey Kids and the brand that is. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to subscribe. Keep subscribing to us. I know you already hit the subscribe button, but promote us. That'd be great too. Give it to some of your friends that you think would be interested That would be fantastic. Get more ears on this. Thanks again. Remember to follow us on Twitter at 2JerseyKids. Me at Buck Shoots Back. Can they follow you, G?
At Real Scavenger 18. 1-8.
1-8. That. Remember to like us, like our Facebook page. Again, Choose Jersey Kids. Keep staying beautiful out there, folks, and have a wonderful